You know how your mind sometimes wanders off on the most uh, bizarre tangents?
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
The other day, mine took a hard left into this world where, like, the local wildlife decided to swap the forest for the fast lane.
Hey, okay. I think I see where this might be going.
We've got a really fun thought experiment lined up for you today. It's kind of silly but fascinating.
It's the kind of idea that makes you chuckle at first, but yeah, the more you think about it, the more entertaining and maybe even a little insightful it gets.
Exactly. So picture this. Animals, yeah, every kind. You can imagine strapping into sim racing rigs and battling it out in iRacing.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Chaos.
Pretty much. We came across this breakdown exploring this exact scenario, and it's just too good not to dissect.
Right.
So our goal in this deep dive is to jump into this virtual safari, basically, and figure out how different creatures might handle the intense world of online motorsport.
So we're talking setups, driving styles.
Yep, their ideal setups, their driving styles, which are wild, to say the least, their racecraft, and of course their natural strengths, and where they'd likely, fall short on the digital tarmac.
It's a really clever way to think about both the nuances of sim racing and, yeah, in a lighthearted way, the core traits of these animals.
For sure.
We're not going for like a scientific study here,
No, no,
obviously.
definitely not.
But for those moments where you go, aha, that makes perfect sense, connecting a creature's instincts to their potential on a virtual track, it's just fun.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with a real powerhouse.
Yeah.
The gorilla.
Yeah, the gorilla. Okay.
Now, this isn't going to be your smooth, delicate driver.
Mm-hmm.
Our source paints a picture of triple screens,
At really wide field of view, yeah.
a direct drive wheel that's the kind that gives really strong, realistic feedback,
Yeah, it needs to be sturdy.
steel pedals that could probably stop a truck, and crucially, a bucket of bananas.
Yeah, the bananas, of course. For those crucial mid-race snacks.
Essential fuel.
That setup really screams raw power and, well, immediate needs. The bananas are a stroke of genius, highlighting that primal focus.
Total.
But it makes you wonder, would that brute strength actually translate into the kind of nuanced control you need in sim racing?
It's a really good point.
Hmm.
And the driving style. It's described as pure aggression.
Predictable, maybe?
Every corner is an invitation for a dive bomb.
Yeah.
Forget gentle braking, smooth lines. This is all about using sheer force to get ahead.
It's completely in character, isn't it? In the wild, gorillas are powerful, direct.
Uh-huh.
Applying that to racing, though, as you hinted, might mean a lot of penalties,
Yeah.
lots of contact.
Assertive is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
The racecraft is described as overtaking through other cars.
Oh, wow.
I'm picturing a virtual demolition derby every time the gorilla decides it wants your spot.
Right, and the trash talk. I bet it's good.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Me fast, you crash.
Succinct and effective. Lacks sophistication, but you certainly get the message.
Yep.
It mirrors their direct physical approach to problem solving, doesn't it?
It really does. But the big hurdle for a primate racer, though, apparently squeezing into a GT4 car is impossible.
Practicalities.
The cockpit simply wouldn't survive the gorilla's
Oh.
enthusiasm.
Which immediately highlights the real-world limitations when you try to translate animal characteristics directly into motorsport, right? Size, delicate control, immediate obstacles.
Exactly. Okay, moving from raw power to something
Yeah.
completely different. Let's consider the squirrel.
Oh, the squirrel. Okay, this should be interesting. What's the setup?
The envisioned setup is a motion rig,
Yeah.
the platform that moves you around,
Yeah, mimics the car's motion.
precariously balanced on a tree branch.
On a tree branch. Wow. Talk about adding another layer of instability.
Right.
The tree branch setup is wonderfully chaotic.
Right.
Perfectly captures the squirrel's life. A motion rig on that, you'd be getting tossed around like crazy.
I can only imagine. And the driving style. Constant weaving. Lane changes every 0.3 seconds.
Whoa. Can you imagine trying to predict that on track? Impossible.
Seriously.
It's the definition of unpredictable. Their natural quickness and agility would make them incredibly difficult to follow, but would they ever settle into a rhythm?
That's the question. The racecraft. Lightning fast reflexes? Absolutely.
Makes sense.
But with a serious case of the zoomies, they lose focus after just 3 laps.
That short attention span. Classic squirrel behavior.
Totally.
In a longer race, consistency would be a massive challenge, no matter how quick they were initially. It makes you wonder if they'd be better suited to, like, super short sprint races.
Maybe like a 1-lap qualifier special.
Yeah.
And the pit stop is pure skirl.
Oh, what did they do?
spending the entire time trying to stash nuts in the tire warmers.
Huh. I love that mental image. It's a fantastic detail. Blends their ingrained instincts with the racing environment perfectly.
Can you imagine the pit crew?
Where are all these nuts coming from?
And the inevitable outcome. A spin out on lap 7
Let me guess.
while chasing a virtual acorn.
Knew it. It's the perfect, slightly absurd conclusion. The allure of the familiar distraction just completely overrides the need to stay focused. Tragicomic.
Definitely. Okay, so if the gorilla was all about speed and force, and the squirrel about chaotic energy, our next contender takes a decidedly different approach. The tortoise.
Ah, the tortoise. Slow and steady.
Very slow. The setup, well, apparently it takes a full 3 days just to get into the rig.
3 days.
That tells you everything, doesn't it?
The sheer time involved. Yeah, it really underscores their deliberate pace. This isn't an animal built for quick reactions or fast movements at all.
Not even slightly. The driving style is exactly what you'd expect. Never exceeding the speed limit.
Of course.
Signaling meticulously before every single turn.
Every single one.
Every single one. You'd probably get blue flagged, the signal for slower cars to move aside before you even completed a lap.
It's the epitome of cautious driving. Incredibly safe, I guess, but unbelievably frustrating for faster competitors trying to get by. Imagine the virtual traffic jams.
Oh, totally. But the racecraft, absolutely zero contact.
Yeah.
Not even a little bump. This tortoise is the ultimate pacifist on the virtual track.
A perfect safety record in the virtual world is actually quite an achievement, even if it comes at the cost of speed.
Sure.
It shows the value of consistency and predictability, doesn't it? In its own way.
Yeah, it really does. And the ideal racing discipline for this slow and steady competitor, 6-month endurance leagues.
Huh, perfect. Time is clearly on their side.
Exactly. And the iRating, that's the skill level measure in iRacing, a modest 12.
Very low.
But with a perfect safety rating, or SR, which reflects how cleanly they race. The ultimate contrast.
It really highlights that there are different ways to measure success in sim racing, right? iRating reflects speed and racecraft. SR reflects responsible driving.
And the tortoise definitely excels in the latter.
Absolutely.
Okay, soaring in next is the eagle.
Ooh, the eagle. Vision, precision.
Exactly. The setup. VR, virtual reality, with full head tracking. Because, as our source points out, they're always watching everything.
The VR and head tracking make total sense for a creature with such incredible vision and spatial awareness. They'd have an unparalleled view of the entire virtual environment.
For sure. The driving style is described as having fighter jet precision.
Nice.
Showing absolutely no mercy on the apexes.
Yeah.
The ideal line through the corner. Ruthless efficiency.
It perfectly aligns with their predatory nature and aerial mastery. You can just imagine them swooping down on each corner with pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, and the racecraft is seriously impressive. They can apparently spot a brake check from 3 miles away.
3 miles. Wow, talk about incredible situational awareness. Their exceptional eyesight would give them a massive advantage in anticipating other drivers' moves.
Almost impossible to surprise them, you'd think.
Right.
The one potential issue, though, a tendency to try and actually fly off track.
Forgetting the VR isn't reality.
Exactly. That's a hazard of such immersive technology for our avian racer.
A funny little quirk.
And the catchphrase. A chillingly confident, I don't miss, I calculate.
Ooh, I like that. Perfectly captures their focused, precise approach. The attempts to fly off track are just a funny reminder of that disconnect between virtual and real.
Definitely. Now things get really interesting with the octopus.
The octopus. Okay, how does that work? 8 arms.
The setup is mind-boggling. 8 monitors.
8.
4 keyboards. Simultaneously running crew chief, that's the voice command race engineer.
Yeah, I use that.
A spotter, and race control.
Whoa, how is that even possible? It's a fantastic representation of their 8 limbs and, potential for multitasking. The sheer amount of information they could process at once is staggering.
Incredible, right? The driving style reflects this. Managing fuel, race strategy, pit stop timing, all at the same time.
A true strategic mastermind behind the wheel. They would be the ultimate driver-engineer hybrid.
Totally.
Their ability to juggle multiple inputs and data streams would be unmatched. Makes you wonder if they'd ever get overwhelmed by all that info, though.
Good question. And the racecraft. Capable of blocking 3 lanes simultaneously.
3 lanes. Good luck finding a way past that. Imagine the defensive capabilities. With that many tentacles and that much awareness, they could create a practically impenetrable barrier.
Right. The one vulnerability, though,
Yeah.
apparently they get a bit slippery on the wheel when it's wet.
Huh. Makes a certain kind of sense. Given their natural habitat, it introduces a very relatable weakness. Those suction cups, great in water, maybe not so great on a smooth, wet racing wheel.
Exactly. Okay, our next competitor. Probably the friendliest on the grid. The Golden Retriever.
Ah, the Golden Retriever. Okay, what's their deal?
The setup is all about creating a happy space, chew toys, snacks,
Naturally.
and a fan blowing in its face. Pure, unadulterated joy.
It perfectly captures their friendly and easily pleased nature. The focus isn't on peak performance, it's just on having a good time.
Absolutely. The driving style is enthusiastic, and even after a first lap pile-up, they're still wagging their tail and smiling.
Yeah. The epitome of good sportsmanship. Their inherent optimism and lack of aggression would make them a very forgiving driver to race against. They're just happy to be involved.
Totally. The racecraft. Always letting other drivers pass.
Really?
Even flashing their headlights just to say hello. The ultimate friendly racer.
That's amazing.
And the final result. Everyone loves them, no matter where they finish. It's hard not to root for a Golden Retriever in a racing sim.
Yeah, their positive attitude and friendly demeanor completely transcend the competitive nature of racing. They're the embodiment of good sportsmanship on 4 virtual paws.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, slithering onto the scene next is the Snake.
The Snake. How does that work with driving? No limbs.
The setup is surprisingly minimalist. Just slithering across a touchscreen, somehow managing to steer.
A touch screen. Wow. Impressive and a little unsettling. It really highlights their unique form of locomotion. A touchscreen is unexpected, but maybe logical.
I guess so. The driving style is described as being lightning fast on the straights, but absolutely deadly in the corners to everyone else.
Uh-oh. That sounds a bit ominous. Their slithering movement might translate to quick bursts of speed straight, but yeah, you have to wonder about the precision of their steering and how that might impact others in close quarters.
Definitely. The racecraft. Unpredictable inside lines, taken with absolutely no warning.
Yikes. You'd never know what they were going to do next. That lack of conventional steering input would definitely make their movements difficult to anticipate. A significant hazard.
For sure. The weakness. Gold tires.
Gold tires.
Apparently they always spin out on the very first lap. Maybe the touchscreen isn't ideal for gentle warm-up maneuvers.
Ah, interesting weakness.
And their favorite track, Sebring.
Sebring! With all the bumps.
Yep, because they absolutely love the bumps and aggressive curves.
That's a bit twisted. The affinity for Sebring's challenging, uneven surface is interesting. Perhaps their low profile lets them navigate the bumps uniquely, even if getting heat into the tires is a constant struggle.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we have the Kangaroo.
Kangaroo, okay. Hopping down the track.
Straight from the outback with a rather significant 500 ping.
Oof. 500 ping. For those not in the know, that's the latency, the delay. And 500 is not good for smooth online racing.
Not at all. The setup is probably just somewhere out in the vast Australian landscape.
That high latency immediately suggests a chaotic and probably very frustrating racing experience for everyone involved. Online racing really relies on low ping for fair, predictable competition.
Totally. The driving style. Teleporting through the chicanes.
Oh no, lag switching basically. Other drivers would be understandably furious.
Wouldn't they just?
The lag would create such a disjointed, unfair experience. Their movements would appear sudden, impossible to react to. It wouldn't be racing, it would be appearing and disappearing.
Exactly. The racecraft. Well, they might punch you off the track. They might just vanish entirely.
A true wild card. Unpredictable due to tech issues.
Yep. And their signature move. The Roo Jumper.
The Roo Jumper, what's that?
Launching themselves off the curves and into orbit, basically. You really can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. The Roo Jump perfectly encapsulates the unpredictable, physics-defying nature of racing with high ping. It's less skill, more a glitch in the matrix.
Pretty much. So, with this truly incredible grid of animal sim racers, our source asks a fantastic question.
What's that?
What about a real Wild Grid Grand Prix iRacing special event?
Oh my goodness.
Just imagine the chaos, the fur, the feathers, the absolute carnage. As the eagle tries to take flight, the kangaroo blinks in and out of existence, and the gorilla just, well, smashes things.
It would be utter pandemonium. A spectacle unlike anything ever seen in virtual racing. The potential for hilarious incidents and completely unexpected outcomes would be just off the charts.
Right. And now, the ultimate question for you listening.
Yeah.
Who do you think would actually manage to win this glorious mess?
That's the million-dollar question.
Or would it all just culminate in a monumental pileup at the very first corner at Monza? I honestly have no idea.
The variables are so extreme, trying to predict a winner is almost impossible. The gorilla's sheer aggression, maybe. The eagle's precision, if it stays grounded.
The octopus's strategy.
Yeah, the octopus is multitasking.
Yeah.
They all have potential, but the overwhelming factor here is pure, unadulterated chaos.
Total chaos.
Turn 1 at Monza with this lineup. You might as well flip a coin several times. I suspect massive pileup is the most likely outcome.
I think you might be right. So there you have it, our deep dive into the wonderfully weird world of animals as iRacing sim racers.
It was fun.
We've explored the raw power of the gorilla, the twitchy chaos of the squirrel, the unwavering safety of the tortoise,
The calculated precision of the eagle, the multitasking mind of the octopus.
the boundless friendliness of the golden retriever, the unpredictable danger of the snake, and the lag-fueled lunacy of the kangaroo. Quite a grid.
It's a fun reminder that even within the relatively structured world of sim racing, introducing completely different characteristics can lead to incredibly unique and often hilarious scenarios.
Definitely.
It really makes you think about what fundamental traits define success in such a competitive environment. Is it speed, consistency, strategy, or just survival?
Yeah, good point. And hopefully it's left you listening with a smile and maybe a slightly different way of looking at both the animal kingdom and the sometimes unpredictable world of online motorsport.
For sure.
Next time you're watching a race, maybe you'll spare a thought for the pandemonium that could break out if a squirrel suddenly grabbed the wheel.
Yeah. It definitely highlights the unexpected possibilities that can emerge when familiar concepts are viewed from a totally new angle. It encourages us to embrace a bit of creative thinking and find the humor in the seemingly absurd.
What if, indeed?